Hello, people.
Hello and welcome, everyone. And welcome to very happy to see everyone at this first our meetup this year. Welcome, Pierre Neis, a prominent Agile coach, executive, mentor, author of works, including also the book Swarming ×4, is with us today. Pierre, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot for having me. So it's very impressive if you can give me this recording so I can give it to my mom and my daughters. So I can really feel very impressed. So let's talk a little bit about two things today. Is about the principle of swarming in an agile context, and also what we learn from Ketos and what we learn from the Mongols, which is just an attractor, it's the honey to get mosquitoes or to get the bees here. Okay, so I will start to share. I created a small presentation for you. And the idea is coming with just 1 hour to my presentation, then having a lot of questions and answers. So we have a talk on it. I hope you agree, even if Alexander cut all your microphones. All right, so let's start sharing this, and I hope it works at the best. Good. So here the title of this presentation, Agile Swarming, Team Productivity Techniques of the Ancient Mongols. This won't be a lie. This is typically what I expect to present you today. We will have Agile, we will have Swarming, we will have Ancient Mongols, and a little bit productivity, which is not the main point. The main point will be addressing, let's say, what we call organizational agility, what we call the essence of agility from my perspective. And after this talk, please feel free to tell me how wrong I am. This is the agenda of today. We will start with the what, then for what, then what not, and how, and wrap up, and then ending. And now it's really time for me to start. So who I am is the first question. And we had just a conversation before with Alexander. Defining who you are is very complicated. So I try to make the very best. This is usually my genuine presentation in a conference when nobody knows me. And gives you a small snapshot. The easy snapshot is this one. So on the top, I'm not the lone standing kid. I have a brother, I have 2 sisters. And in this picture, when you have the 3 kids sleeping, the only one who doesn't fake, it's me. I'm on the top. The guy who's lying, sleeping like crazy. You can see my brother is smiling, he's faking, and my older sister, he's just looking at the camera. On the other hand, on the bottom, I'm also a proud dad of 2 daughters, and I raise my daughters in the Agile way. It means they are really, really badass. So they love now to contradict their dad the whole time, which is for me a sense of smartness and intelligence. On the right part is one of the activities I'm doing. This is here. A visioning roadmap full learning week with executives, and the guys having a post-it on their head are chief finance officers from the SAP group. So people which are very, very, very serious, and they came with this bloody idea to express themselves with a post-it on their skin. This is quite funny, and this is for me just how in the crazy way of doing things, I'm really happy when people trust me doing crazy things. So feeling them free enough or allowing themselves to do crazy things. This is how I see, okay, if I reach this, I'm not too bad as a coach. On the other hand, I have 2 hats on my head. So officially on my label, on my business card, I have lead agilist, which means just a little bit nothing, or a senior manager at Cognizant Digital Services in Zurich. And my job is helping organizations everywhere worldwide colleagues, helping them to go in the Agile way, usually in organization development. In the Agile community, you can tell me, oh, is an enterprise coach, meaning I embrace not only the IT part, I embrace the business, administration, research and development, any kind of services in the company, and how to bring it in the new way of working. So also I have also all novel collection have a full collection of certifications. So my full name is Pierre Neis. Officially on the paper, I'm French. So Neis is my family name, means I'm 99% German. So I'm bilingual, and I'm living neither in France, neither in Germany. I'm living in Zurich, Switzerland. I'm an Agilist since over 15 years and a coach since over 12 years. And before that, I was a lean coach. My background is most likely product development and project management, all program management, all this kind of stuff. So I'm a former MIT guy. I'm a BCG, Boston Consulting Group alumni. I'm a personal agility ambassador. And I used to work with a couple of companies, a couple of programs several times. So in 30 years, 15 years, it's around 200 Agile projects. And I just can say one thing, none of these projects are the same. Everything is different all the time because of the people. And I love to work with people. So that's the lessons I learned from this research, because I'm doing also research about what is Agile in fact, and how does an Agile organization look like, and how does it work? And all this question I raised came up with a collection of patterns and commonalities that I discovered ongoing on the years. And based on this, it came to figure out, okay, the first book I wrote about AO, which is a method for coaches on organization development. And the second part is Swarming, which is a subsidiary of the AO, is about what we are talking today. Okay. So my question, the main question I would asking when I'm coming, even at the customers, even in the company I'm working, and everywhere, is how do you organize for purpose? Do we organize for compliance, or do we organize for delivering value for the customer, or are we building something? So the purpose is usually something which is completely forgotten. So we say, oh, we have the purpose is making money and reduce costs. I saw it a lot. That's not the purpose. That's just common sense. I don't know companies who doesn't want to make money, who doesn't want to lose money, or who doesn't want to make profits. So what if is something else? If you do this story for purpose, maybe you get a lot of ideas. So this is the famous quote from Steve Jobs. I want to put a thing in the universe, meaning I want to change something. That's what we say, a purpose. And then you try to align the whole company on a purpose. But then when you have a purpose, you have to organize for that purpose. So that's my point. So when we say we want to make an Agile transformation, the goal is not Agile. The goal is the purpose. How we go to the goal is the purpose, is Agile. All right, then I have a second question. How are you organized and for what purpose? It means every organization is differently organized for the purpose they share. And even you have to ask the question, what really matters? If you have a customer asking, okay, we want to deliver as much as possible things, and you discover they have bottlenecks, they have what we call organization waterfall. Then you say have no reaction to change, or overcrowded demands, like having management coming every 5 minutes. Oh, can you do this? Oh, please do that. Oh, you're Agile, you can't change. And you have all these kind of things. Is the people on the bottom, the doers, or what you call in lean the Gemba, what is at the shop floor, the people at the end who's delivering value, they really don't know what they're doing. So there is no purpose. You're just sitting by. You're just doing something. You're a workforce. Agile is a little bit more. We want to have an impact. We want to make a change. And everyone wants to make a change. That change is based on the purpose. So we have to organize around the purpose. So, oh, sorry, all the mics are cut. Can you open the mics, please, Alexander? Just asking who knows this video of Trevor Noah, the comedian, explaining how was the British colonization.
No.
Nobody? Nobody?
Yes.
Yes. So when I watch this is really funny, right? So you have Trevor Noah, he's South African, explains to a British audience the colonial past. When people are coming in their country, oh, there is a land, let's call it our land. Oh, there are people, what are you doing here in our land? So meaning you're coming and you make colonization. And when you're coming to make colonization, you want that people are speaking your language. You don't care about their language. You're coming with your language. You're just transposing what you're doing in the new country. And this is quite crazy because Noah raised up a question about, isn't colonization the most arrogant form of patriotism? In a way is, how can I tell a Swiss guy that me coming from the French-German roots with my background that am I right? Maybe I'm not right. It's not humility, it's just common sense to say the impact of a methodology, impact of, let's say, a culture change. And if we want to address method and tools like a culture, it doesn't make sense. I'll give you an example. Maybe I'm way too high level. I want to come in very basic to explain. I used to work, let's say 3 years ago to make one of the transformation I made at SAP headquarters in Germany. I came up with people not attending the meetings. So the teams are not there, right? So I'm waiting on the teams and say, what the heck are you doing? Say, oh, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. Say, oh, but you have to agile and we have to be co-located. And after 5 minutes, as I was thinking, I'm really stupid. I'm really, really stupid. I'm asking people to come to be stuck in a traffic jam and to be on time on a meeting without caring about their times, their health. They have to adapt to myself. One more point was a couple of colleagues, they are coming from foreign countries. I have a lot of people from Latin America and people from India. And I was listening to me telling them, oh guys, now you're agile, now you have to follow what we are doing, how we are doing, but be yourself. But be yourself, and asking them to adopt my religion, my Agile religion, my way, my interpretation of Agile was quite a little bit stupid, right? Instead, I should embrace their own culture and I should embrace how their interpretation, their own interpretation of Agile. So since that was more than 5 years, since that, I always start by asking, and what kind of Agile is your Agile? Giving the meaning that we are building a common culture, a commonality with everyone is raising its voice in this system. That means that each time I have onboarding of somebody else, maybe my initial agility, my initial way of doing Agile change and improve based on the newcomers. So that's quite harsh, that's quite hard to understand, but people just want to have processes and tools. They say, no way, Agile has nothing to do with processes and tools. Agile is about the interaction of agents in the system, interaction people over processes and tools, the people speaking together, working together, and delivering the value. So my question also was, how can I design an Agile system allowing this without being, let's say, religious or whatever, just to be genuinely neutral, say, not, oh, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I just have messages from microphone being a little bit crazy. So the idea is, okay, how can I have a system where you see, I don't care your religion, your sexual orientation, your age, your gender, or what the heck you want. I just want to speak to you as a team member from brain to brain. So this was one of the challenges, maybe crazy challenges, but was one of the challenges. I have to do it better. So the idea about if we take the literature, if you look at what we're doing, everyone want to adopt, want to embrace this new methodology or new religion called Agile or doing this. I'm pro-Agile, but I want to define Agile as something a little bit different than only methods. All the methods are good. These are the tools, the devices you are using to express your ideas, maybe to help people to engage on the way you have to work. Even safe can be a good thing. But the idea about having a call from customers in the US, also, oh, Pierre, can you come and just come also to deploy safe in India, in Western Europe, so we can work all together in the same language? I say, no way, I can't do this because it's completely wrong. You make the supposition, the hypothesis that you are right and they are wrong. This is not how it works. It works completely different. If you're aware a little bit of merger and acquisitions, you can see when you want to buy a company, you merge in the company, and you expect to change the company to have the boat company, the new one, into the same company as yours. This never worked. It never worked. Why? Because there are something that works like people interaction is what we call a social network or microsystem. It doesn't work. So instead of fighting against, fight with, assimilate, do it with. So are we doing the same? Yes, sometimes we're doing the same. I did the same, but I stopped doing the same a long time ago, but I'm still keeping myself, but I'm not free. I'm like an alcoholic or drug addict. I always take care about not try to force people doing the thing. All right. So are there other options? Yes, there are other options. So here comes my Mongols. If you take a look about Genghis Khan is still a very high figure for Mongol people. But this is what he done in 1279 AC. He conquered a very, very big part of the world, the known world, which is most likely what we can say. We have here China, Russia, and Middle East, a lot of Middle East. And I have to say it's barely wrong, because we know that Attila, which was a descendant of Genghis Khan, he moved to Spain, has been stopped in France, then moved to Rome, and then they backed up to, they retired usually a lot after the Ural, but some are stopped in Hungary, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So there are still roots there. It means it was very, very, very big. So how did Genghis Khan doing? We know Genghis Khan maybe from the Netflix series, but they were not very cool, right? So they just killed people, a lot of people. But Genghis Khan, the hordes of Mongols, they started with a small tribe to become a bigger tribe. They moved from one village to another. So they moved to the first village, they killed everyone, let one free. Now you have to run in the next village and they have to surrender. If they don't surrender, we kill them all. So they move to the next village, everyone is surrender, and then they move from one village to another. But one big trick they did is, and so the villagers surrender, and now you're all Mongols, and they move forward without using time to educate them, to share the language. See, they didn't care. They wanted to move. So even though you spoke German or French, and you were invited by the Mongols, you keep your culture, you keep your differences, but you're just part of a bigger Mongolian country. Maybe you have to pay some bills, whatever, but usually not the big deal. It's not all the infrastructure. They don't have a big administrative infrastructure. They don't want it to change the culture. They don't want to cheer to to build something great. They just wanted to conquer. So Genghis Khan is quite bizarre, but what I use this on ancient Mongol Genghis Khan idea is they grow by assimilation. So if you think about the global world, you should grow by assimilation and not by conquest in the way you want to colonize. So if you have to think, we are a big company and we have issues at big companies. We're absolutely not perfect. We are 200,000 people big. And we have now my colleague Darius here. He's in Poland. I'm in Switzerland. He's thinking like a Polish guy. I'm thinking like more a Swiss, German, French bastard or something like this. But you have a lot of colleagues from India. We have colleagues from everywhere. Always, is our Agile the same thing? Absolutely not. And you know what? It's good that it's different. Because maybe my colleague can see the problems that I can't see because I'm in my tunnel. And they can come with their own ideas and we can build something new each time. So here it's not about setting up, let's say, patterns in a way we want to have processes, but it's the way to discover on the go how we work. It's the organization model is also empirical. You have to learn, you have to adjust. So if you know, let's come in something maybe you know way better, in a way. So you are doing, let's say, a PI or quarterly release planning, whatever, with a couple of teams, and you want to design what you want to do. Fine. If you're lucky, everyone is attending this meeting. Everyone means the management, the customer, the users, and the developers. And not only the management, everyone. So we discuss on a topic, what we want to do. So you have maybe a large meeting, 4 hours, whatever, and you do it. Everyone decides what to do. And then you have this roadmap, and we agreed on the roadmap. And the team say, yes, it's feasible in this 3 months, in this quarter. It will be risky, but we can do it. Well, so we have an agreement. Then you ask, okay, who wants to do this? Who wants to work on that topic and that topic and that topic? In a way is, you are able to jump from one team to another. I give you the option. It doesn't mean you want to take the options, but you have the options to jump to another team. Why should we have an option? Because by default, an Agile team is end-to-end. And maybe when you make the next quarterly planning, you discover that maybe this end-to-end has increased or have shifted to another angle. And maybe you have a team member that want to stay in a team forever because they love the guys, but they have work in another team. It means they will maybe attend 2 times a daily or maybe twice the meeting. Okay, maybe they want to do it. Okay, I'll let them do it until they say, oh, you know, it's way too much. Then maybe you should be able to jump in another team. So this here, so my argument, my theory here is a team has a setup of a duration of the time of a release in a way of a quarter. And every quarter when you decide to move in another way, when you have multiple teams, then maybe you have to disrupt the team or maybe rebuild the team. So we are touching something called continuous organization model. All right? So maybe take notes for questions afterwards. I'm sure we will have a couple of questions here. So this is based on Genghis Khan, and let's go deeper a little bit more now. So the question is there science behind that, or just is a bad dream of Pierre yesterday night? I say, sir, there is a theory, there is some measurements from the science. This is called swarming, or what we call a flocking behavior. A flocking behavior, like company like the Daimler Group, a couple of years ago, we worked together, but let's say we want to cut the big wheel to make a swarm of swift fishes, to be more reactive or more responsive over robustness. It means this is a huge organizational and business change. What is the idea? Flocking, what is flocking? Flocking is what we say a natural way of human behavior. Natural means is I accept your way of, you come on to enrich an existing system, and maybe you improve it to make it simpler. So usually when you go bigger, the initial corporate culture becomes really, really lighter. Very, very simple, because you have more and more and more different cultures. So this is based on flocking behavior. So I will tell a little bit of story to explain more in detail what is flocking. So here, let's say we have here a bird cage. Don't take it, culture. It was the only picture I had here as an icon to represent a nest. A nest, let's assume that we are working in a hive or nest. That hive influences our behavior. It means based on, if you can cook in the field, in front of a lake, on a place, but if you want to cook better, you can cook in a kitchen. Now, the size of the kitchen, the design of this kitchen is a little bit different based on what you have to do. If you want to cook for your whole family for Christmas, you don't do this on a barbecue outside. You do is usually, you make a lot of things. So the place, the hive is a little bit different each time. So the hive is also a safe place. This is where you're feeling comfortable. This is also what we are facing working from home now. We say, where is my hive? Where is my nest now? Is it home or is it in my office? For me, in my office in Zurich. See, my nest is home office, because this is not fake. This is where I'm living and this is where I'm working. I'm okay with that. But this is also where people are a little bit confused nowadays. So in that hive, when you have some parrots, we are parrots in this hive. And sometimes you have a door open. A lot of parents are not able to process the information and, okay, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. So some will die with open door, and some will fly away. And some very little will understand it's possible to fly away and to come back. So what is also all about this? What is this very curious metaphor of mine? On the other hand, we can consider that if you have a yellow parrot, having a yellow parrot can change the whole flock of parrots to make it all yellow. Like if my yellow parrot is an example, is an agile guy, having one agile guy in an agile team doesn't make my team agile. So the overall remaining black parrots again. So this also applies to agile indeed. On the other hand here, so if I do an orange cage or orange hive or nest, I don't care about the color of the parrots, right? So if I do here, my orange nest or hive is a metaphor for an agile system. So if I make my agile system, or if I make my system agile, I don't care what nature the parrots are. You can have whatever. You don't need to be an agilist to be in a good agile team. You don't need to embrace agile at all to work in an agile team. What really matters is the team. Is the team agile? Meaning the team is, here we have a team, is me interacting with you. Not yet, but after this talk is, so having the design that we have, my focus here is I need to have a design about, okay, I want to have a team which is agile, allowing you as an individual to be yourself and accepting all the difference, your agreement or disagreement. I don't want to lose time to convince you. If you're not convinced, okay, no matter, do whatever. But what is important is the team is agile. So that's based on this. On the other hand, if I have here, so once in a while, birds can leave the nest for any kind of reasons, like migrating, discovery, surroundings, or feeding, right, in the birds. These birds, this behavior here is very specific, their way to move it. And this specific way of moving is called swarming. And swarming has a part of, it's not a process. There is a really organic behavior, is you have to separate yourself from the hive or from the nest. The birds have to be aligned. There is cohesion in the birds, and there is avoidance. Avoiding obstacles, right? And this is how it works. So I want to make it, how much time do you have left? So is 34, okay, I'm still on time. So that's going to be more concrete here. So if you understand a little bit where we're coming from, we have to understand what is Agile at all. So we're coming all from the scientific management part. If I take an example about roads or traffic controls, we can say here, scientific management are the traffic lights. You have one guy who's regulating, right, gives the red lights or the green lights. But when the traffic, when the debit of circulation flow is increasing, these traffic lights doesn't work any longer. It's create just a jam. So we have to improve it to think about what can we do. So having this kind of jam, we can think, okay, instead of having cars, we can have buses. So we have buses. So at this moment in time is a quick fix from an organization perspective. We're having buses so we can reduce the jam until, again, the debit is increasing again. So we have, again, a jam. It means that your traffic lights are no longer working. In this way, you have to think a little bit differently. And this came here in the 1950s mostly, or just a little bit before World War II, about system thinking is, let's reorganize the way of traffic lights. Let's reorganize about how we're crossing roads, how these intersections are working. Let's do something like here, a roundabout. A roundabout is more thinking about a system. So you don't need to regulate the system. The system is leading its own regulation. So you have just to have simple rules, watching how it works. So scientific management and system thinking are called what we call linear system. You still have on the top people telling you what to do, and you still have people doing what on the management is telling what to do. And this is still not agile, because you have a third level is called sense making. Sense making is completely different. Sense making is here, like this magic roundabout in Swindon in the UK, is very, very complex. It's completely crazy. This is for huge car debates. It works since, 40, 50 years. You have 5 in the middle roundabouts, in the bigger roundabout, and people are free to rule. Very, very simple rules and very, very uncomplicated. This is sense making, because this design of roundabout is done to allowing emergent behavior. Emergent behavior comes from your ability to situate in a network. That network is here, this crazy roundabout, because you can't see what you work, but because when you go in, you can see there is some kind of dynamic bringing you on the right path. And you have very, very little accidents, but it works well and looks crazy. But this is what this sense-making approach is, what we call, this is where Agile comes up. This is what we call a complex LP system, or complex system is the ability of yourself to situate in a network. That network is emergent. It means it's never the same. You can also switch from one model to another model, but you have to go in this sense-making approach. And now a comment, this is all to explain. Here is a real picture of this magic roundabout in Swindon. Why is this? So this magic roundabout has been designed based on flocking behavior. You can Google magic roundabout in Swindon, UK, and you can see all the engineering technique behind this. It explains about also the Boyd model, how flocking behavior works. This is how they designed it. There's another example of this flocking behavior adapted design, like the streets of New York. I wanted to avoid this, but this is also how they designed the streets of New York, to have this more urbanization of how the flow of activities is working. All right. This is based on flocking behavior. This is my magic roundabout in details. So we have very simple rules, and here I'm coming to the point. We need, for having an emerging behavior, having this system, having this flocking system in place, having teams working like this, they just need simple rules like point to the destination, have a goal. Why are we here? Avoid collisions, not having dependency, not bumping into other teams. There is no need of advanced planning skills, meaning if you have maybe a sprint planning session, even you're not able to plan, it doesn't matter. You have to start. You not have to cover your ass just to say, oh, I don't want to do this, I need to analyze more because you want to be absolutely sure. Don't be sure. Just go. Just do things. It's doing, not talking. It's Agile is sooner and not faster. Sooner means I have an idea, I'm able, it makes sense in the purpose we already have. And that sense helped me to start doing things. And if after a sprint or maybe after one day you discover it's just nonsense, doesn't matter. Stop doing it. What have you learned? Shift and move in another way. Pivot. And then is also to get here, you have also lines to follow. Lines here is what we call the safe to fail container, to have safe fail experiment. The safe to fail containers are the limits you are agreeing or how to work. In Scrum, as an example, the limits are the meetings on the sprints. So, and the sprints are not tangible. You're not changing the sprint's length. It makes no sense. You don't change the duration of the meetings. It makes no sense. This is very simple because these are just the lines you have to follow, right? And these lines, it allows emerging behavior. But if you want to control everything, this can be completely insane. If you don't want to be in a line, something happened too, but this is the minimal. Let's say to have this creativity effect, we are looking for this way of having swift response, being creative, coming with very, very fast value. You have to have the freedom to experiment. And having the freedom is in limited boundaries. So maybe at the beginning, as a coach, you come and say, okay, the sprints, this is the limits of the sprint. Respect the limit. Then you can say, oh, this is out of the limit. Okay, that's in the limit. This is why a Scrum Master is protecting the team from management asking, oh, now we can fix this. I say, no way, wait the end of the sprint. And this is, if you don't have the lines fixed, it's going really messy. It's the same thing if you remove all the boundaries of, you remove all the roundabouts in this big roundabout, it will crash in everywhere. So we have simple rules to allow this flow of activities. All right. Now I want to go now, I'll give you more in something more tooly, so you can see how can we start swarming, concrete. So what we want is going from one baby step to another. Up, doesn't matter, you will have this document. So swarming here again is we have fixed boundary, fixed point avoidance, all the rules I explained before. The simple rules in no central coordination. So you maybe if you're used to working in Agile way, you can see, oh, do we need an Agile coach, a Scrum Master to tell us what to do? Nope. Do we need a product owner to tell us what to do? Nope. The team is really self-organized, and the Scrum Master or the Agile coach is just part of the team. Is the guy who protecting boundaries, and my product owner is just another team member who helping the team to create sense of what they do. So it's completely different, and then the team is moving away, moving forward faster. And I have very good running Agile teams. Then they say, oh, we have a new boss. I say, so what? I don't care. The team are running, they're delivering. They don't care about who is the boss. So don't waste your time to try to convince senior management to go in Agile. Just go Agile. Let the team work. And then you have a retrospective. Then you can see, okay, we are bumping, and maybe you can change the way you work. And this is based on these dynamics. So here, more in detail, I will give you, you will get the documentation after this conversation. I don't want to stop to focus on this because it's quite annoying being alone to speak. There is a process. This process of swarming process, maybe you have a different understanding of swarming because there's a lot of people speaking about. In the Agile community, we have a couple of people speaking about swarming on mob programming. That's a little bit different, but always have the same essence. This is swarming that you can see in the business or in the organization part is like having initiatives. I want to have initiative like a proof of concept or doing something to test a new idea, whatever. And this is, but they all have all this kind of dynamic, all the same logic. Swarming process is moving in 4 stages. It's going from a problem to options to prototype and viable solutions all the time. So here, it doesn't matter. Problem, so we have all this problem, the 4 stages are coming just back. Hold on. This problem, options, prototype, viable, this is 4 days. 1 day for problem, 1 day for options, 1 day for prototype, 1 day of viable solution, and usually 1 day with everyone. Everyone is users, customers, management, and the development team. All the guys who are creating this is very service design-based approach, but this is what we do. Usually in 1 week, we cover everything. And because we create this constraint of the time, so in 1 day you have to identify the problem, 1 day you have to identify options, 1 day to build a prototype, then you have a viable solution at the end of the day. You finish the week, you know what to do. And because the doers, the team were contributed, they have just a week after to create what is necessary to deliver. So they deliver everything in 2 weeks. So again, how it works. Problem is more an idea generation workshop. That's the process. We are explaining the demand. We generate the first ideas. We destroy the first ideas. We generate new ideas. We are aligning the ideas, and we refine the idea in a robust storytelling workshop. And this is usually what you do during a full day. And then we have cross-pollination about several teams bumping together, sharing the ideas. Then you refine the idea on the day. This is for problems. So then we have this event of problems. We identify the problem. And because you have the customer on board, the customer accept or reject the problem. They say, yes, that's the problem. Then you go to day number 2, and something else is, now you're working on a problem or maybe on options to solve that problem. Is okay, in the several teams, each team will work on its own solution. The team are working on options, how to solve that problem. And then we make this kind of review in the next day, and we say, oh, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea, I'll keep this, can you merge these both ideas? This is typically what you're looking for. And then the audience is voting on options. And again, the customer is on site, he's accepting this option to go to the next step. The next step is working on this prototype, working on this option. You start designing a prototype, then you build a prototype and you're testing the prototype. From the service design part, you're going on the street and you ask, if I do this, would you lose it? And then you destroy it to get your MVP. You destroy, you remove all the fat of your initial idea to go straight to the point to get your MVP. And this, I call it not the MVP product, as usually a viable solution, because sometimes it's a service, not a product per se. Based on this viable, then you're going the viable solution, which is the last stage of the idea, as I do the development, I do the review, and do the deployment. Meaning, in this, the team knows, because they have to build it, they knows what to do, they knows the interaction, they have a full week to develop all the thing they needed, and they have a viable, at the end of the second week, they deploy in production. So to wrap up, swarming is an invitation. It's not nothing more parallel activity and multitasking. I saw it, and we want to do this, and we have a lot of, and the team's already working on the sprints. So usually we plan having swarming sessions, and we ask the team. So it's never it's not on hot shot. Is you have to plan it a little bit in advance because the teams are still running. I use it also in organization development, meaning I can have a team a team, I have a big team separating for a hive, then I have a new hive, and it's going from one hive to another hive. So it's emerging. It looks crazy here, but usually you have a lot of data and you have some kind of, you see it from a system perspective, you have a constellation of activities, you can have bundles of activities, and the teams are really selecting based on the portfolio of activities you have. But this is how you can see how it works. And usually the initial hive doesn't work any longer, and there is a new one emerging. This will be the new hive, maybe for not forever and ever. This will be the new hive for that moment in time. So you have to be quite resilient in the way you organize your activity. Means maybe your first design is not the good one. Maybe you should be able, you have to accept to change your design, but over time, like in an Agile team, you discover the teams is finding their pace, they're finding their rhythm, and you have this new organization emerging. So this is an idea. We have some swarms living, making their experience and coming back to nurture the nest. You have different characters in the swarms. So we have some birds with special skills, which are not, we have people which are not team players. So the question was, what are we doing with the expert which are not team players? We call it gleaners, or we call it floaters. Their mission is to help all the teams with knowledge or whatever, to help them and to coach them. I can be considered as a floater, like this kind of bird, because I'm an Agile coach and I have to float from one team to another. But that means I need to have a coach into it to ensure that they're all aligned, because I'm just a floater. But you have the subject matter expert, or usually ex-floaters. Now, if I have a couple of floaters, it doesn't mean I have a team. So if you have people doing chapters or something like this with something else, and you're part of a tribe and you work in a chapter, it means you're in different flocks. It means you're just in one flock and you're making yourself a fool, because you're never in two chapters. You're still in one chapter. That's your main team. Even if I build communities for the company, I know I'm just a floater. I'm just this kind of bird, this kind of owl coming to help people. They are still in their teams. And that's good. So here is an example. This, you can read it afterwards in the slides. This is how it works for a single team. You have the same logic for the big team. So in bigger team, you have more kind of gleaners here, or or how I call floaters. Their job is more likely to help also alignment. So you can align with Agile coaches, aligning all together, or you have architects aligning, or you have product development strategists aligning. But that's not the main activity. It's an optional activity, but the main activity is to create value. So that's all about what is based on this swarming. Swarming as an activity, like we call it enhanced design sprint, or as the way you have this continuous organization model. So swarming, when I do believe that every project would start, or maybe you call it product development instead of project, everything should start like this. You should not start analyzing during 6 months and then maybe handing over to somebody to deliver. No, who is working the idea is delivering the idea. So that's what we call Agile. So a swarm is a proof of concept. Is a spike, like in IT, a spike is how you test an idea. It's the only true data validating a hypothesis. Validating hypothesis doesn't come from big mathematic analyzing. You can trick the math, is how you interpret the results, which are weak, not the math. So if your test works, it's good. It doesn't work, it's good, because you learned it doesn't work. So it's very binary. All right, I'm done with my presentation. Let's talk now. This is me. These are my 2 books. One is really on the large part of all the Agile organization with all the theory, all the blah, blah. And the second is on the swarming, quite visuals. You will discover the same visuals with more details in it, so you can still work on it. And swarming is typically how we work on now. We are selling also digital project because nobody say what to start. We say, oh, we are coming, we are quite bold, we want to sell for 2 weeks, maybe do a thing for 2 weeks, and let's see what happens. That's it. So let's time to talk.
Thank you very much, Pierre, for the inspiring presentation.
Hopefully.
And I will stop the recording now and invite everyone to enable their microphones and cameras and have a discussion with our speaker.